In the past on Two Wheels, we've occasionally been accused of showing favouritism to big fancy superbikes. They're nice to look at, they're great fun to ride, but for some people they're simply too expensive. And if you save up all your hard-earned cash and buy the bike, then you've got the problem of insurance, and some of these things are just uninsurable these days. So I'm here to prove that you can have just as much fun on a much smaller machine. So say hello to this. This is the latest Raptor from Cagiva. Believe it or not, there are only 650ccs down there, but I can tell you it's just as much fun as any big fancy superbike. And the 650cc's in this machine are supplied by Suzuki. In fact, the motor has been lifted straight out of Suzuki's well-respected SV650. The styling is, well, unusual, but if that's not quite wild enough, then there's always the 650V Raptor, which for an extra £400 or so, has even more odd-shaped bodywork. Aggressive looks combined with a motor with plenty of poke, but not quite so much that it scares you to death. So here we have it then, Italian style or Italian flair with Japanese engineering, or should I say Japanese reliability. Dead easy to spot the Italian bits, isn't it? You can spot them a mile off. It's all the styling bits, all the pointer bits, all the daft bits really, all the off-the-wall styling I suppose you might call it. And of course the frame as well, this open trellis style frame, not unlike a Ducati Monster. In fact, not unlike Yamaha's TRX 850, which you might remember came out a few years ago. That had a frame, or still got a frame, just like that. That was a parallel twin. This, of course, is a V-twin, and it says down there, Cagiva. Don't be fooled by that. This is not a Cagiva engine. It's a Suzuki 650cc motor. But Suzuki aren't the only people that have had a hand in this, because it's got a few other bits and pieces that they've borrowed or they've acquired from other people. The rear shock down there, it's a monoshock. It's a Sachs unit, that's a Sachs monoshock. You might remember Sachs from many years ago, famous engine builders, and of course they're making bikes now. But it's got some nice touches. I mean, there's braided hoses all over it, so I mean lots of people fit these braided hoses as aftermarket accessories, but they're all on this as standard. Of course we've got Brembo brakes front and rear, so we know the stopping power is going to be certainly going to be up to the job. But if you stood back and just looked at this bike, I mean it's not a small bike, it's 650cc's, yes, but it could actually pass for 1000cc because it's no different really to the 1000cc Raptor. Physically it's not much different. The biggest giveaway and the easiest way to spot it if you get two in a car park and you're not sure what it is have a look down the front, because on this one there's no oil cooler, which on the 1000cc motor is mounted down there, around there somewhere. So there's an oil cooler on the 1000, there's none on the 650, and of course these tailpipes as well. Nice upswept tailpipes either side. They're a little bit smaller, of course, because a smaller motor, so we don't need great big fat tailpipes. And the biggest giveaway of all is when you do this. When you start it up, listen to this. Not quite got the same roar of a 1000cc V-twin has it, but never mind, it's still an awful lot of fun. And fun is the key word for this style of bike. Forget top speeds, forget lap times and all of that. You'll still arrive on time and you'll have had just as much fun along the way at much lower speeds than the race replica brigade. Don't be fooled into thinking then that this is not a capable machine. With zero wind protection, things can still get pretty exciting, believe me. Handling is more than good enough, with the wide and fairly flat bars giving a nice relaxed riding position, while still allowing you to flick the bike quite easily around the country lanes. Well, I've said lots of good things about this baby Raptor up to now, so how about a few bad things? Well, here we go. Not too bad really, not too many bad things, but one thing I did notice, I won't say it's a bad thing, when I first jumped on it, the pegs, I noticed that they were quite high actually, and if like me, I like to ride with the balls of my foot on the pegs like that, sort of almost racing style I suppose, and it means that your leg is quite well bent. You've got quite a nasty bend here in your knee, so depending on how physically fit you are, you might well get achy knees after a few hours in the saddle. And then on to this other bit, the pillion bits. What about the pillion? Well, I've not actually been out pillion riding on this, I have to confess, but what about the pillion seat? Well, there isn't much of the pillion seat, I have to say. The foot pegs aren't bad actually, so you're not going to get achy legs, but there isn't very much to sit on. And with it being a step seat, the pillion is higher than the rider's seat, so I'm quite well up in the air now here, so I'd be getting a big wind blast in my face, so I don't think I'd like to go too far on this as a pillion rider. Another thing that I wouldn't say it annoys me, but took a little bit of getting used to, is this side stand here. Because what happens, I was tending to catch my boot on this side stand here, and I was just catching it on the gears there. I suppose it's one of them things you get used to eventually, but I just found it, I don't know, a little bit awkward, but no big deal. And another thing, the thing I hate is this colour. Ooh, it's horrible, isn't it? A kind of yellowy thingy. Don't know what the official name for it is. I dread to think what it is. But I didn't have a choice in that. That's how it arrived. So can't complain about that. It is available in other colours, so don't worry. You don't have to have a yellow one. So why should you buy one of these? Well, a lot of people are buying this style of bike now, this kind of naked style of bike, in not very big CCs. You know, 650, as I say, is plenty enough to have a lot of fun. Because the problem is, on your R1s and your Fireblades and your CBRs and your R6s and all that, it's quite easy to be doing 100 mile an hour plus, 120, 130 before you even know it, because you've got decent sort of wind protection, they're all fully faired, and they're so capable, they do it so easy. This thing, 70 mile an hour, you know you're doing 70 mile an hour. It will do over 100 quite easily, 120 thereabouts, and it'll cruise along all day at 90 miles an hour. And on this style of bike, surely 90 mile an hour is fast enough for anyone.
The brake is.